Thank you for joining in, guys. A very warm welcome to all of you once again in this session with our immigration law expert, Mr. Rajiv S. Khanna. And Rajiv ji, is there anything that you want to tell us before we jump on to question answers? There has been, the last week was kind of bizarre and crazy with some weird tweets happening, and then the news progressed and we learned more about it. And there are some changes, there are something that needs to be clarified. Is there anything that you would want to tell our members today in that regard?
Well, first of all, it's unethical for me to call myself an expert. There is, under the Virginia rules of ethics, I can say that our practice is focused on immigration. We cannot say that we are experts in immigration.
Okay.
So, it's just for whatever that is worth. It's inappropriate for me to be called as an expert.
So I'll call you immigration lawyer.
Just immigration lawyer is enough,
Okay.
for practitioner of immigration law.
Perfect.
So, Trump administration, what they did was that last week, they put out a proclamation, executive order. They're pretty much kissing cousins as far as I'm concerned. They're the same thing. But the idea was, I don't know how many of you are aware of the politics of माधुरी जी प्रणाम, एक आध बंदे की शक्ल भी दिख रही है, अच्छा है, तो नहीं तो ऐसा लगता है कि दीवार से बात कर रहे हैं. So इसकी politics ये है यार कि there's this guy, this sleazebag, a snake called Steve Miller, who is in the White House. वो खुद Armenian descent का himself, he is an immigration progeny, but he's very anti-immigrant. तो he is the idiot whisperer. Trump के कान में वो भरता है बातें. And Trump is a chump. उसके दिमाग में जो कोई कह देता है वो उसी वक्त वो कर देता. So they together cooked up an order that says कि भाई US jobs. जी प्रणाम, कौन है सर आप?
I think he'll Ankit. Welcome Ankit.
Hello Ankit. So basically, under the pretext of protecting US jobs, they went ahead and barred entry on green cards for 60 days for certain classes of people. Most of them are focused on employment-based immigration, but also some family-based immigration. So immediate relatives of US citizens are exempted, but every other person, if they are getting a green card, they have to wait. Exempted are those people who are in the USA. So अगर आप employment based हैं और आपका adjustment of status से you're getting your green card, that goes on. There is absolutely no problem, because most people who went into a nervous tizzy were those जिनके के EAD renew होने के लिए जा रहे हैं, who are at the terminal stages of the green card. They've already given the interviews. They were the ones who were very worried. And I did end up, at some point, I just had to say, guys, I can't answer questions individually. Let's set it up as a frequently asked questions, because you're asking me the same questions over and over again. So we were able to field that, and that was just for a couple of days. Then, once information starts disseminating, other lawyers, other people, we are all giving out the same information. So then it becomes easier to reach. So there's no effect on H-1Bs, L-1s, any of those visas. There's no effect on EADs. But this is a little tweak that these guys have done. And why have they done that? It's basically to appease their base. Dekho, historically, immigration is the favorite whipping horse of bad economics or administration. Whenever things go bad, India में भी हम लोग करते हैं. Bangladeshi आ गए जिन्होंने सब खराब कर दिया. We do it in India also.
Blame it on them.
Yeah, blame it on Bangladeshis. Bangladeshi आ गए. अब उसमें क्या सच है? मैं तो वहाँ रहता नहीं. I don't know how things are there. But I have a feeling there's a little bit of scapegoating in every country. It was true in Hitler's Germany. It's true in Trump's America. Okay. So with that said, now, do I anticipate any effect on H-1Bs here in the USA? देखो ऐसा है कि I was of the opinion that Trump doesn't have the power, but when I looked at the law, I was surprised. See, most US laws are based upon an anticipation of good conduct by the actors. अभी आप अपना देख लीजिए, छोटी सी बात है. अब आप क्रेडिट कार्ड को यूज करते हैं. There's a sense of faith कि जो बंदा क्रेडिट कार्ड का नंबर दे रहा है, ये उसी का क्रेडिट कार्ड है, अपने chacha ka ya papa ka nahi uta ke nahi le aaya. There's a sense of, there's a trust built into the system. It is the same way in the US political system, that presidents will act presidentially. They did not expect a complete moron to be the US president. You can tell I have feelings about Trump, right? So, because to me, they have taken a third-class builder who has never made any money in any endeavor except through practices that are highly objectionable, if not criminal. तो उसको उठा के डाल दिया वहां पे. अब this was not anticipated in the US political system, because of which the entire foundation of the system has been shaken. So the president has a lot of power. Once you declare emergency, which he did in the first week of March, he declared emergency. When you have declared emergency, you have close to 330 things that you can do, which are inconceivable in a democracy. If he wanted, he could shut off the internet. That's how much power he has. So now, after having looked at the law, ये साहब कौन है? एक तो यार मुझे ऐनक के साथ पास का नहीं दिखता, ऐनक उतार के दूर का नहीं दिखता.
Mahantesh.
Mahantesh ji, how are you? अच्छा, so using that as an excuse, what these guys are trying to do is that, and this is good for you guys. I mean, it's really, honestly speaking, this is good for the changes in the immigration system are good for employment-based immigrants eventually. Why? Because they are going towards a merit-based system. That's eventually where it's going to end up.
Yeah.
आज से कोई 6-7-8 साल पहले, when they did a complete revision of immigration laws, the US Senate passed an 1,100-page bill, which I, like an idiot, spent 50-60 hours going through. सब लिख के उसका बुरा हाल कर दिया. वो जाके House of Representatives में fail हो गया. Okay. Now that bill was tremendously helpful for our constituency. Why? If you have a PhD from a US school or a master's degree, you leave school with a green card pretty much. And that's a great bill. Okay. इसी तरह से, even if you have a foreign PhD, your route to a green card was very short. So that was the plan under the Senate under Obama. But I think Obama या Bush का था. It never went into fruition, which is too bad for our community, because our people, most of us, we are either family-based immediate relative types or we are all employment-based. Acha. So right now the situation is, if you have a non-immigrant visa, you have nothing to worry about. Nothing has changed yet. The good news about H-1Bs is that government had created a lot of highly artificial constructs against obtaining an immigration visa. You must have a contract for 3 years. The court said, why? Where is that written? You're making that up. Well, you must have a job in a specific discipline requiring a specific degree. No. The court said, no, you're reviewing it too restrictively. And last week, Friday, American Immigration Lawyers Association filed a lawsuit against the government. It's a class action lawsuit. Right now, they have taken only one occupation. They've said government has been denying cases for market research analysts based upon the presumption that doesn't require a specific degree. We have a very interesting client. We have a client who does market research for pharmaceutical companies. They have offices in 5-6 different cities, 2-3 different countries. They are super experts. Everybody they hire is usually a PhD in biotechnology, biochemistry, biology, physiology. It's one of the basic medical disciplines. I have won 99% of the cases, but they've denied one case. And I wanted the employer to let me file a lawsuit, but they backed off. They had other ways. They just sent the person to work from their UK office. So that was not a problem for them. But not everybody can do that. So what is happening is the Trump administration wants to tighten up on certain things, and they want to rewrite laws, which they cannot. But as long as there's an emergency, they can. But the moment the emergency is over, they have to go to Congress, because Congress writes the laws. The 3 branches of the government, judiciary interprets the law, Congress writes the law, and the president executes the law. In executing the law, they have a certain amount of flexibility in how they interpret the law. If they interpret it incorrectly, we go to court. So that in a nutshell is where we are today. Let's start with your questions, guys.
Sure, let's start the question. Thank you for throwing some light on that, Rajiv ji. Who wants to go first, guys?
Mashallah.
Imran, let's start with you. You were there in the call yesterday as well, so we know your case a little, but go ahead, ask your question.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rajiv ji. Especially, I want to thank you for sharing.
Blanket ho gaya, aage chalo.
Okay. All right. मेरा केस जो है वो COVID-19 के पहले का है. So basically, मैं international student हूँ, लेकिन अभी फिलहाल मैं CPD program पे हूँ, and I'm working with Delta Airlines as a credit analyst. So they want to make me permanent, but the situation is that मेरा जो CPT approval हुआ था, वो जिस college के through हुआ था, वो college shut down हो गई है. And this was before, so this was back in 2019, beginning of 2019, college shut down ho gayi. But I have a contract with Delta Airlines because I'm employed with them through a contractor. And my contract says that I can work with Delta Airlines till 2021. But currently, I am on F1 visa, and I have changed my college, and I'm studying with a different college. But Delta Airlines management has no issues for me working with them because my contract is till 2021.
So right now you have a CPT through the new school?
Not through the new school. It's still continuing through the old school. So they are still okay with that for me to work, but they want to make me permanent. So they want me to just get a work authorization. So I don't know, how should I go about this?
आपकी डिग्री काहे में है?
मेरी डिग्री है बैचलर्स इन बिजनेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में.
How many years of experience do you have as a credit analyst?
2.5 years and still continuing.
Okay. Mostly I have bad news, not really good news. The bad news is that there is no simple way other than getting a CPT.
Okay.
Abhi CPT ka bhi kya hai? The CPTs are so incredibly convoluted. I've talked about this before. I'll mention it again. It's another example of the royal mess the Trump administration has created. So you know that your DSO, designated school official from your international students office, speaks for USCIS.
Right.
जिसको हिंदी में प्रतिनिधि कहते हैं. They are the representative of your USCIS का representative जो स्कूल में बैठा है, that's your DSO, right?
जी.
DSO कहता है कि I can give you CPT. When you go for a change of status, they'll say, oh, no, we don't accept CPTs. Okay. CPT beyond 1 year, 12 months CPT, OPT combined at any one educational level is all you get. You can't get it beyond that. Okay. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen eventually. And they will lose. I have no doubt in my mind about it. But until that happens, you are stuck with a CPT whose status is questionable, but as long as you have it, I don't see why you shouldn't use it. Nobody bothered to reach out to you and tell you, we are revoking your OPT or your CPT. Why shouldn't you use it? My question to you is, if you rolled your service over to a new school, you did, right?
Yes.
Why is it that you don't have a CPT through them?
So I did reach out to my DSO and I asked him these questions. So he said that you would need to submit kind of a bank statement from your sponsor. And mera jo sponsor hai, he is running a gas station and he's doing pretty well. So usko ye COVID ka koi impact kuch nahi hua. So his business is running as normal. So my sponsor is not ready to give me any bank statements because he files his taxes on time and he's good. So he was afraid even to give out his documentation because he was afraid of getting auditing.
CPT has certain rules. To get CPT, a few things have to happen. Number one, if you are getting what they call day one CPT, you must be enrolled in a graduate program, master's degree or PhD.
Okay.
Second, the school documentation, whether it's their website or internal manuals, should clearly show that the practical training is an integral part of the education.
Right.
And the third, the employer has to sign a contract with the school that shows the employer's understanding that you are getting credits for this work, and they'll make sure that you continue working in your own area of education. For example, if you have a degree in accounting or you are doing a master's degree in accounting, they will continue to employ you in accounting and not transfer you to maybe MIS. What degree are you pursuing right now?
Currently, I am into bachelor's in business administration.
I thought you had finished that.
That was through my previous school. So when that school shut down, I had to again take a transfer to a new school and get the same course because they did not have a master's program at that time.
I think getting your CPT would be important. I don't see the necessity for any employer to submit their paperwork other than signing an agreement with the employer that they understand you're getting a degree in business and that they will continue to employ you in the field of your own specialization. So either your DSO doesn't know anything about this program, or maybe I'm missing something. That's always a possibility.
Okay.
So this is what I would recommend. I would recommend go to the CEVIP web page. I think it's studyinusa.gov, something like that.
Okay.
Go to the CEVIP web page. They should have requirements for CPT.
Mm-hmm.
Show the requirements to the DSO and ask them. If you go to the CEVIP web page, you can actually dig out information based upon the role that you are examining. So if you are a student, you can say, I'm a student, I need information. You can even say, I'm a DSO, I need information. So when you log in as a DSO or claim to be a DSO, they will give you the information that's relevant. Do some research. You might be able to dig up something that you can give to your DSO and say, bhai, aap information kyun maang rahe? This is not necessary. And no employer, no private employer is going to give their tax returns to anybody. That's nonsense. Okay. So start with doing some homework. Come back and talk to us in a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens.
Also, can I email you just in case if I have any questions and I can reach out to you?
You can email me. My email is help@immigration.com.
Ji.
And please be respectful. मुझे डेढ़ page का question मत भेजिए. I have some sitting in my email, and I said, guys, I don't have time to read a page and a half email. सवाल छोटा रखिए ताकि I can understand it. I can always call you back. Put your phone number in there. I will try my best.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. Manu, do you want to go next for your question?
Yes, Sure.
So,
Rajiv, my question is that I was on F1 visa till December 2019. Then I changed my status to B1 or B2 by crossing the borders, then come back on to B2 visas. And now I want to change again from B2 to F1 visa. I also have I-20 form from the school. And my school is going to start May 11th, but now they changed the date to June 1st. If I apply for I-539 form, what are my chances for approval during the COVID-19 crisis?
Well, a couple of things that we know and a couple of things that we don't know. First of all, I've been very pleasantly surprised. Some of our H-1B approvals without premium processing came in a week without an RFE. So the employer was asking me, this is a school system in North Carolina, they were asking me, how come we are getting our approvals so quickly? They were curious as well. And I said, maybe, I don't know, maybe the work volume has gone down. I do not understand why it's happening. So why that is relevant to you is maybe the speed of 539s might get jacked up. If times were, this is the bad part, if times were as they were before, you would not get a decision on a 539 for about 9 months. Okay. In the meantime, you cannot go to school.
Okay.
You're sitting at home waiting for it to come through.
Mm.
The problem is, by the time it's ready to come through, your B2 is gone. They'll say, oh, you are out of status. We can't give you a change of status. So that means you have to keep extending the stay on your B2, and you have to keep rolling out your I-20 to the next and next and next semester. Because you must be in status within 30 days of the school opening. Samjhe?
Yes. So my point is that because they can't change my I-20 because it's a dental school, I'm going to start my dental program. So dental program has to be start on a specific date. They could not change. So if the border will open, can I go and come back on F1 visa?
Yes, you can. But chances of getting an F1 are a little slim. Be mindful of that because you have a history of staying in the United States for a very long time. So you can try, but you never know. I mean, if you're lucky, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Can you do it? Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So what is your recommendation? What will I do? Should I file I-539 form or should I wait to open the border?
That depends upon what you desire. If living in USA is more important than being in school, then by all means wait for the I-539 if it is possible. If Ya Babu Rail mein, Ya Babu Jail mein type approach, where you want to make sure you get a decision one way or the other, then go get your visa stamping done.
Okay, so one more question. If I apply for 539 form and I don't get a decision on time, if I cross the border and come back, so
no problem. No problem.
Is that
perfectly okay?
It will be okay?
Yeah, perfectly okay. The time that you have stayed here will be considered authorized period of stay. And crossing the border would mean that you abandoned your request for a change of status. Get your F1 visa stamp, come back and notify the government that you want your 539 to be withdrawn.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. We have another Manu on the call, Manu Bhargava. Do you want to go next, please?
Yes, Vasha. So, good morning, Raju ji.
Bada popular name hai Manu sahab aapka.
So, Raju ji, I have a quick question.
Ji.
I have a family issue, Rajiv ji. I got married and my wife, due to some family issues, she filed a case against me in the court.
एक second. India में के यहाँ?
हाँ, इधर Rajiv ji.
All right.
So, our 15-16 cases मेरे ऊपर डाल दिया. It happened in Massachusetts. So, the court has given me a verdict as a guilty because I was unable to prove that. I have given 70 pages of document to my attorney. He did not submit those things to the court.
Okay, one second. Let me make one thing clear. I'm not admitted in Massachusetts. I cannot comment about Massachusetts laws. And you don't want my opinion on anything other than immigration laws.
It's an immigration.
Right, keep going. Keep going.
So I got a misdemeanor, Rajiv ji. So currently I'm afraid. I've been in US for 10 years. Currently I'm afraid whether will I be getting my H1B extensions. I got my 140 approved 4 years ago, 5 years.
Well, this is a very complicated area of the law. I can tell you generically, but I can't comment about your situation specifically.
Sure, Rajiv ji.
Generically, ये होता है कि there are two things that operate upon intended immigrants and non-immigrants. एक तो है कि आप USA में आ गए. They can take you out of USA. That's called removal या deportation.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. दूसरा ये है कि आप एयरपोर्ट पे खड़े हैं, आप अंदर आना चाहते हैं. They are asking you questions. That's called admission. तो admission और removal के rules different हैं. Just to keep things interesting for you.
Sure.
When you're in the USA, things are different. When you travel out and come back, things are different.
Yes.
ठीक है?
Yeah.
अच्छा. On top of that, misdemeanor by definition is a minor crime whose maximum punishment, I think, is 1 year or less than 1 year. ठीक है?
Yes,
अच्छा. But there are state laws can be different. Some states have something called aggravated misdemeanor. Aggravated misdemeanor is actually a felony. Felony is a serious crime, punishment possible 1 year or more. So what USA has done, we actually look more at the sentence actually imposed. तो क्या आपको imprisonment की सजा मिली है?
I'm in probation, Rajiv ji, currently. So
But
it's just a simple
did
reason.
did you get any sentence imposed even if it was suspended?
No.
That's good, because chances are you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I want you to do. पहली बात तो ये है कि get yourself a local lawyer who does deportation defense in your state.
Okay.
They'll be the cheapest bet for you, because if I have to study the law of Massachusetts and spend time on it, it'll cost you a lot more money than if you went with a local lawyer.
Okay.
Okay? Talk with a local lawyer. But before you do that, there is an organization called Congressional Research Service, CRS. Likho isko. Congressional Research Service.
Okay.
This is a government research organization that drafts various opinions for the education of members of Congress.
Okay.
CRS has done a beautiful work of art study a couple of years ago on impact of criminal convictions on immigrant and non-immigrant visas.
Okay.
उसको पढ़ने में आपको 10 मिनट लगेंगे, क्योंकि they have done a very good job of summarizing information.
Okay.
So read that before you go talk to a lawyer, so that you should at least know as much as your lawyer does.
Yes, Rajesh.
उससे आप intelligent question पूछ सकेंगे. Just from a snap judgment shooting from the hip, I think you're going to be fine.
So I am good with the H-1B extensions as well as with the green card.
I don't see any problem with that.
Raju ji, एक last सवाल है Raju ji. What in case if I go back to, I'm the only son to my parents. What in case if something I have to go back to India and come back? So will this definitely stop me at the admission port of entry?
Well,
I'm not allowed to get into
that's again, I don't want to. देखो ऐसा है ना कि आप किसी डॉक्टर को से कहेंगे मेरा नाक बह रहा है, आप मेरे को बताइए मैं कौन सी दवाई खाऊं. अब ये तो until you examine the patient from head to toe, you can't really tell. So I have to look at the Massachusetts law. I have to look at Board of Immigration Appeals decisions construing that law. I have to look at the federal court's decision construing that particular law, and then give you an opinion. तो मैं इसीलिए मैं चाहता नहीं कि मैं उसमें involved हूं, and I spend time. It's so much easier to get somebody competent. And normally होता है कि जो deportation defense करते हैं ना, उनके लिए तो ये रोज का काम होता है. So they should know these answers off the top of their head in their own state.
Okay.
Because it's a state law based a criminal conviction. So
Okay.
just get yourself a local lawyer. उनसे बात करिए. If you're not satisfied, I can always do a follow-up consultation for you.
Okay, sure, definitely. Yeah, thanks, Raj.
Good luck.
Thanks, Prasha.
Good luck. वो जरूर पढ़िएगा. CRS की वो studies जरूर. Very good job.
Yeah, I just made a note. Thank
They
you.
have some really bright researchers working there.
Thank you. Thanks, Raju. Yeah.
आगे चलिए.
Sure. Next, Arpit, do you want to go next with your question?
Hi Rajiv ji. Actually मैं स्टूडेंट वीजा पे हूँ और OPT मेरा एंड हो गया था जून 2019.
अच्छा जी.
एंड देन मैंने OPT एक्सटेंशन फाइल करा जिसमें मेरे आ गया सेइंग दैट कि एम्प्लॉयर का E-Verify जो अकाउंट है वो डीएक्टिवेट.
ठीक.
ओके. और मेरे को ये RFE आया. देन मेरे को सजेशन दिया गया कि इस एम्प्लॉयर को छोड़ो. तो मैंने दिसंबर के अंदर वो
ये सजेशन आप ऐसे बात करते हैं. सजेशन दिया गया जैसे कि आपके भगवान कृष्ण आपके सपने में आए थे रात को. किसने सजेशन दिया भैया? ये
नहीं, एक्चुअली हुआ ये कि है ना मेरा एम्प्लॉयर है. मैंने उनसे बात करी तो उन्होंने वो मेरे को जवाब नहीं दे रहे थे इस RFE का और थोड़ी भी रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं ले रहे थे. और मैंने बहुत टाइम तक वेट करा. मैंने फिर बात करी तो उन्होंने कहा कि अगर एम्प्लॉयर रिप्लाई नहीं देता है तो तुम्हें रिप्लाई देना पड़ेगा, लेकिन रिप्लाई के अंदर तुम कुछ बोल नहीं सकते हो क्योंकि उनका अकाउंट है वो प्रॉब्लम है. सो टेक्निकली अगर उनके अकाउंट में प्रॉब्लम है देन आई कैन नॉट वर्क टू चेंज द एम्प्लॉयर. मेरे DSO ने भी मेरे को कहा और जो HR है उनसे भी मैंने बात करी तो उन्होंने भी कोई रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं ली. वो रिप्लाई करने को रेडी नहीं थे RFE का.
अच्छा, फिर कहाँ पहुंची बात आपकी?
तो फिर बात यहाँ पे पहुंची कि मेरे DSO ने सजेस्ट करा है तुम्हारे एम्प्लॉयर के साथ में और एम्प्लॉयर रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं ले रहा है, देन यू शुड टेक टू योर हैंड बिकॉज देयर इज नो अदर ऑप्शन फॉर यू. इफ दे आर गिल्टी देन यू आर इन ट्रबल.
जी, आई एग्री विद द DSO. अच्छा, फिर कीप गोइंग.
उनसे दूर भागो और चेंज करो एम्प्लॉयर. तो मैंने दिसंबर के अंदर एम्प्लॉयर चेंज करके, और मैंने तब तक वेट करा, लास्ट लिमिट हो गई थी आरएफई का लास्ट, तो मैंने उसके जस्ट पहले ही मैंने चेंज करा एम्प्लॉयर, और आरएफई के रिप्लाई में ये भेजा कि मैंने एम्प्लॉयर चेंज कर लिया है, क्योंकि वो एम्प्लॉयर मतलब नहीं आंसर दे रहा था, या फिर कंसिस्टेंट आंसर नहीं थे उसके, इसलिए मैंने एम्प्लॉयर चेंज कर लिया है और ये मेरा नया एम्प्लॉयर है और इसका ये डिटेल्स है, ऐसे करके।
Did they deny the application saying that you changed employers after filing the application?
No, still the case is pending। और फिर कॉम्प्लिकेशन ये हुई कि अभी मैंने दिसंबर में एम्प्लॉयर चेंज करा, और 6 महीने तक मैं एक्सपायर्ड ईएडी पे काम कर सकता हूँ, जो मेरा ईएडी एक्सपायर्ड हुआ था।
Actually 180 days।
हाँ 180 डेज।
6 महीने और 180 में फर्क होता।
हाँ, तो वो करा मैंने। फिर उसके बाद के अंदर हुआ ये कि मेरी एप्लीकेशन है वो अभी तक भी पेंडिंग है, और कॉम्प्लिकेशन ये हुई कि अब मैंने जब एम्प्लॉयर दिसंबर में चेंज करा था, उसके बाद के अंदर एम्प्लॉयर को पता था कि मैं एक सर्टेन टाइम के बाद में थोड़े से दिन के लिए काम नहीं कर पाऊंगा, बिकॉज ऑफ 180 डेज ड्यूरेशन, राइट। एक्सपायर्ड के ऊपर मैं 180 डेज से ज्यादा काम नहीं कर सकता हूँ, तो उसको पता था ऑलरेडी, तो उसने कहा कि इट्स फाइन। बट कोविड-19 आया एंड देन ही इज हिट, और फिर उसको एम्प्लॉयर ने बहुत टाइम तक वेट करा मेरा, अप अंटिल लास्ट मंथ, और फिर नए एम्प्लॉयर ने मेरे को फायर कर दिया। माय स्टिल केस इज पेंडिंग। केस अपडेट मेरा लास्ट आया था वो है 120 डेज बैक, सेइंग दैट आरएफई इज रिसीव्ड, दैट्स इट, आरएफई रिप्लाई इज रिसीव्ड, और ना कोई अपडेट आ रहा है। और अब मेरा एट प्रेजेंट ईएडी कार्ड भी मेरे पास में नहीं है अब, एक्सटेंशन का, ओपीटी एक्सटेंशन का। तो मैं टेक्निकली अगर मैं नई जॉब पे भी लगूं, देन आई हैव टू प्रेजेंट देम डॉक्यूमेंट व्हिच आई डोंट हैव। और अभी मैं अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट डेज मेरे काउंट हो रहे हैं लास्ट मंथ 20 तारीख से अभी तक।
नहीं, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट डेज तो काउंट नहीं हो सकते ना। अगर आपका एक्सटेंशन पेंडिंग है, अभी अप्रूव नहीं हुआ है, स्टेम एक्सटेंशन की बात कर रहे हैं ना?
हाँ जी, एक्सटेंशन,
वो एक्सटेंशन अभी अप्रूव नहीं हुआ है, तो फिर आप काम कैसे कर सकते हैं आफ्टर 180 डेज? सी, ऐसा है कि इमिग्रेशन लॉ में ऐसी बहुत सारी बेवकूफियां हैं जहां पे कि दे हैव नॉट मेड एनी अकोमोडेशंस फॉर दीज डिलेटरी टाइम्स। जिस चीज को 4 दिन लगने चाहिए उसको 4 साल लगते हैं, तो द सिस्टम इज नॉट बिल्ट फॉर दोज काइंड ऑफ डिलेज। मैं आपको ये रिकमेंड करूंगा, अभी की रहे तो देयर इज नॉट मच यू कैन डू, ठीक है। H1 भी आपको अप्लाई करना चाहिए था अगर आपके पास एम्प्लॉयर होता, अगर नहीं है तो ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज नॉट मच यू कैन डू एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम। अगर आपको कहीं नॉन प्रॉफिट रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या एकेडमिक्स में आपको जगह मिलती है, a job which is exempt from the quota, by all means go for it.
ओके, लाइक यू मीन टू से कि यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर अगर प्रोफेसर मेरे को वॉलंटियरिंग वर्क
नहीं, वॉलंटियरिंग वर्क में ये होता है कि उसका आपको कोई फायदा नहीं है। मैं आई एम थिंकिंग अबाउट योर लॉन्ग टर्म करियर। कहाँ गए आप? अच्छा, वहां चले गए। अच्छा, तो इसमें क्या होता है कि इसके 2 एस्पेक्ट्स हैं। एक तो लीगल स्टेटस मेंटेन करना हो, जब तक आपका केस पेंडिंग है, हाउ कैन समबडी से यू आर आउट ऑफ स्टेटस, ठीक है, वो ये फाइन। लेकिन दूसरा ये है कि लॉन्ग टर्म क्या करना, भाई काम तो करना है, ठीक है ना, तो बगैर काम किए कहाँ गुजारा होता। जो फर्स्ट पार्ट है दैट इज ओके, बट द सेकंड पार्ट, हाउ टू गेट बैक इनटू द वर्क एनवायरनमेंट, वुड बी टू एक्चुअली सिक्योर अ जॉब, एक ऐसी जॉब। आई नो इट्स इजियर सेड देन डन, लेकिन if the world were an ideal place to live in, you would look for a job where you're not subject to the quota. और वो जॉब कौन सी होती है? नॉन प्रॉफिट रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, स्टेट और फेडरल गवर्नमेंट रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, फेडरल रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो मैं बोल चुका हूं, which one is the one that I was going to tell you? Oh yeah, academic institutions and institutions affiliated with academic institutions. इसमें एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात मैं आपको बताता हूँ। हमारा एक क्लाइंट है, एक स्कूल सिस्टम है, दे आर फ्रॉम मिडिल टू, दे आर जस्ट बिल्डिंग देयर हाई स्कूल। उनके जितने टीचर हैं ना, दे आर ऑल कोटा एग्जम्प्ट। व्हाई? बिकॉज इवन दो दे आर नॉट एन इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन, दे आर एफिलिएटेड विद लोकल कम्युनिटी कॉलेजेस। तो टीचिंग की जॉब देखिए, दैट माइट बी अ वेरी गुड अपॉर्चुनिटी, अगर आपको बच्चों से एलर्जी नहीं है तो।
मैं एक्चुअली मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर से हूँ, मेरे मास्टर्स है मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग के अंदर.
Mechanical engineers can fit in many roles. It's actually, mechanical engineering is the most widely applied engineering in the world.
Yes.
हर फील्ड में फंस जाते हैं, कंट्रोल सिस्टम में भी चले जाते हैं, इलेक्ट्रिकल में भी चले जाते हैं. So I'm sure if you look around, तो कहीं ना कहीं आपका जुगाड़ बन जाए.
आप मेरे को क्या सजेशन देंगे, क्योंकि मेरे अब जैसा आप कह रहे हैं मेरे अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट डेज काउंट नहीं हो रहे क्या अभी, क्योंकि ओपीटी टेक्निकली मैं एक्सटेंशन पे हूँ, मेरे को अभी मिला है या नहीं मिला है, लेकिन करंट माय स्टेटस इज इट?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. मैंने इसको स्टडी तो नहीं किया exactly. You can double check with your DSO. They are supposed to know these laws better than I am. लेकिन मुझे नहीं लगता कि until you actually get your approval, your days begin to get counted.
क्योंकि डीएसओ के हिसाब से वो ये कह रहे थे कि अगर आपका एप्लीकेशन पेंडिंग है then you are not accumulating illegal pressure.
That's exactly what that I know. लेकिन एक बात और भी है, आप लोग जितने भी लोग हैं यहाँ पे इस बात को ध्यान में रखिए. There are lawsuits pending asking the government to freeze all immigration deadlines. And the one that I like the best is the one filed by the American Immigration Lawyers Association, which says कि सारी deadlines को freeze कर दो until 90 days after the emergency is lifted.
Yeah, that makes sense.
ठीक है, तो अगर वो grant हो जाता है, I'm not sure, because जब तुम कोर्ट में जाते हो, you never know which way the judge is going to look at something.
Yeah.
The good news is ये DC court जो मेरे से सिर्फ 1.5 मील दूर है, DC courts have begun to see more and more the error of the government's way in immigration. Government has been running roughshod over people's rights too long, and they have basically stepped in and said, no, you can't do this. तो अगर वो हो जाता है तो बढ़िया, लेकिन आपको अपने लेवल पे look for an H1 job that is quota exempt.
Okay. First, जैसा आपने कहा कि अगर मैं यूनिवर्सिटी के प्रोफेसर के पास के अंदर अगर मैं वॉलंटियरिंग जॉब,
आप STEM OPT पे वॉलंटियर नहीं कर सकते. STEM OPT has to be a paid job.
Okay. So technically
first year OPT you can volunteer. STEM OPT you have to be paid.
पे नहीं कर सकते. मैं वही पूछ रहा था कि STEM पे नहीं कर सकते. Okay, so technically अभी मेरे पास में the only option I have is to wait and see for the update and try to secure a H1 job which is quota exempt, right?
Perfectly stated. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Rajiv ji. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, ji.
Great. Madhuri, you are next.
आपकी आवाज माधुरी.
Madhuri, you're muted.
Yeah.
Try now.
हाँ, dumb charge नहीं खेलना, please.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at that.
Yeah. I'm here on F1 visa. I'm doing LLM in US legal studies, so first semester. I am a partner here in one company, silent partner. So can my company file work visa right now?
Yeah. देखिए ऐसा है कि leaving aside the issue of how silent you are. देखो ना, साइलेंट का एक तो मतलब ये होता है कि जैसे आपने IBM का स्टॉक खरीद लिया, that's really silent because you can't do much. You can't pick up the phone and tell IBM, अरे 4 बंदे हायर कर लो. You don't get to do that, right? So that's really silent. If you are that silent, that's legal. But if you are involved in the management or the running of the company in any manner, it's questionable whether you are really silent, and that may not be legal. That's one part. I'm leaving that aside. The second part of the question is, can they hire me? Absolutely. Why not? देखो ऐसा है कि to get onto an H1B, you have to have an employer-employee relationship. अब आप तो खुद जानी जान है, पढ़ी लिखी हैं आप, LLM कर रही हैं, तो आपको अंदाजा है. जो कॉमन लॉ की डेफिनेशन, आपने पहली डिग्री कहाँ से करी? इंडिया से करी है?
या मुंबई से.
तो मुंबई से जो वहां पे जो डेफिनेशन है एम्प्लॉयर-एम्प्लॉय की, वहां यहाँ भी वही है. It's basically common law oriented. ठीक है ना? तो उसमें ये होता है कि as long as somebody can fire you, even though you own the company, you have an employer-employee relationship, and therefore they can file an H1B for you.
Okay, because in this COVID situation, I was looking for someone who can file on behalf of me.
हाँ करिए बिल्कुल. You can do it from your own company as long as the job matches your skills and requires your skills, and as long as you get through the quota system.
Okay. Okay. Surely I will call you after this session because then I was looking for someone to file this.
NH1?
Yes.
You're welcome to email me at help@immigration.com.
Okay. Thank you.
मुझे email कर दीजिएगा. I'll have somebody reach out to you. अगर मैंने call नहीं किया तो कोई और करेगा.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Before we jump on to the next question, I just want to make an announcement, guys. For everybody who's just joined in, do drop your names to me and I will queue you up. And whenever I call your name, you can then ask your question. Next is Manhantesh. You can go next.
Yeah.
Manhantesh.
Hi, Rajesh.
कैसे हैं भाई?
Yes, yeah. Sir, I have one question that I was on L1 visa until now, and my complete 7 years stay will be is actually completed on 9th April. So right now I am out of stay. So in this COVID situation, actually I wanted to travel back to India on 24th March, and I have booked a ticket also. But because flight got cancelled and India is in lockdown, so I cannot go back. So what are the options really right now for L1 visas?
आपके पास 10 दिन का स्टेटस तो होता है ना after the 7 years are over. ठीक है ना? तो आपने किस तारीख को कहा कि आपका खत्म हुआ स्टेटस?
Means my petition is expired on 9th April. Like
9th April. So we are already too late for that. You are accruing unlawful presence, but you should file a B1, B2 anyway. उसकी डिटेल्स हमारे frequently asked questions में है immigration.com में. उसमें हम लोग की कम्युनिटी कॉल होती है एवरी अदर थर्सडे. एक थर्सडे नॉर्मली मैं वर्षा जी के साथ बात करता हूँ और एक थर्सडे हम अपने वहाँ पे करते हैं ऑफिस से. तो आई बीन डूइंग दैट फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 27 years. तो वहाँ पे बहुत सारे frequently asked questions हैं. हमारी immigration.com पे जो फोरम है ना, आई थिंक वर्षा जी हमने भी इसके बारे में बात करी थी, haven't we? तो इनके होमीज वेबसाइट पे भी होगा, immigration.com पे भी होगा. वो B1 B2 फाइल करने के बहुत फायदे हैं. It is not an ideal situation. You are still accruing unlawful presence. लेकिन unlawful presence एक ऐसा तोता है जो कि 180 दिन पे काटता है. 179 days it doesn't do anything.
Okay.
ठीक है ना? तो इसलिए वो अगर 180 days तक पहुंच जाता है तो then we have to worry कि अब आपको अगर गवर्नमेंट आप पे निगाहे करम जिसको बोलते हैं नहीं करती है, अगर दया दृष्टि नहीं करती है तो then we have to take them to court. ठीक है ना? और एक बात और याद रखिए, 180 दिन के बाद क्या होता है? कोई बम चल जाती है, कोई तोप चल जाती है? नहीं. Only thing is you are not allowed to come back for 3 years.
Okay.
उसका भी वेवर मिल जाता है, 212D3 वेवर बोलते हैं उसको. ठीक है. अच्छा, वैसे भी आप वापस नहीं आ सकते 1 साल तो on any non-immigrant visa like H1B or L1. ठीक है ना? तो 1 साल का बनवास तो आपको है, मिनी बनवास, right?
Yes.
तो इसलिए there are so many things that are actually working for you कि इसमें ज्यादा चिंता करने वाली बात नहीं. बैठो आराम से, कोई सास भी कभी बहुत ही वो सीरियल देखो, बस क्या
या क्योंकि मेरे ऑफिस में मतलब जहाँ काम करता हूँ ऑफिस के अटर्नी से पूछा मैंने कि ये तो वो भी मतलब उसने भी बोला कि B1 B2 अप्लाई मत करो, बिकॉज B1 B2 अप्लाई करोगे तो तुम्हारा मतलब फाइल होगा लेकिन तब तक तुम इंडिया जाओगे, अगर फ्लाइट चालू हो गई तो इंडिया जाओगे, so that will be not valid. तो वो
but it is a good idea to do it anyway, क्योंकि आपके जो लॉयर हैं वो उन्होंने किताबें बहुत पढ़ रखी है लेकिन उनको सड़क का ज्ञान नहीं.
Yeah, is actually
street knowledge is very important. देखिए, sometimes I have won cases in courts because of the stupidest things I did. अगर किसी से आप पूछें बाहर वाले वकील से, यार ये क्या कर दिया तुमने? मेरे पास एक पाकिस्तानी डॉक्टर थे, वो अपनी बीवी से मिलने आए, उनका इश्क जाग उठा, he didn't want to go back. ठीक है, उन्होंने क्या किया? उन्होंने USCIS को कॉल किया, बोले कि मेरा टूरिस्ट वीजा एक्सटेंड कर दो. वो बोलने वाला भी होशियार, सुनने वाला भी होशियार. उन्होंने कहा ठीक है कर देंगे. किसी ने कुछ नहीं किया. Of course you have to make an application. उनको नहीं पता था. ठीक है, but he did call. I have witnesses that say he called. जब वो मेरे पास आए ऑलरेडी उन पे 10 year बार लग चुकी थी. ठीक है. अच्छा, अब वो मुझसे कहते हैं जी क्या करना है. मैंने कहा जी पहले तो एक चिट्ठी लिखो USCIS को कि भाई मैंने आपको उस दिन फोन किया था, आपने मुझे कहा था कि एक्सटेंड हो गया, कोई मेरे पास प्रूफ नहीं आया उसका. बेसिकली वी रोट दैट लेटर. उसके बाद में हमने लॉ सूट फाइल कर दिया अगेंस्ट द गवर्नमेंट कि इन्होंने हमें बैड एडवाइस दिया. नॉर्मली यू कांट होल्ड गवर्नमेंट टू बैड एडवाइस, ओके, लेकिन इफ यू हैव डन एवरीथिंग बाय द बुक, द जज सेड यार हाउ आर दे सपोज्ड टू नो? तुमने क्यों नहीं बताया इनको? At least your frontline staff should have this basic knowledge that they should have guided them to file an application. Or just said, phone के ऊपर नहीं होता जी ये. अब किसने वहां पे क्या भांग पी रखी थी, किस मूड में उठाया, शिव जी करके जो उसके मुंह में आया बोल दिया. But that's what protected our client, just because we had them write a letter. So it's some of the dumbest things that can protect you. So B1, B2 ना फाइल करने से B1, B2 फाइल करना 1000 दर्जे अच्छा. आपके लॉयर बेवकूफ नहीं है, लेकिन वो स्मार्ट भी नहीं, वो एडिक्वेट है.
Yes. He is actually Mexican lawyer, तो मेक्सिको से है, तो उसको पता नहीं इंडिया का.
मैं इंडिया में पैदा हुआ हूँ, ना पैदा होने से कोई स्मार्ट होता है ना बेवकूफ होता है. वो तो ज्ञान अर्जन करने से होता है ना, पढ़ने से होता है, मेहनत करनी पड़ती. So it's okay. Just do what I'm doing.
Yeah, but I can stay 180 days, right? If flight gets started, I can go back, and then I don't.
You are deportable. अगर आप पकड़े जाते हैं, वो आपको डिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं. डिपोर्ट कर दें तो 10 साल के लिए वापस नहीं आ सकते. ठीक है? As a practical matter, who's going to deport you?
Oh.
And there's another reason for filing B1, B2. If you have a B1, B2 application pending, you go before the immigration judge, say, what am I supposed to do? Judge, my application is pending. Even in deportation, that damn thing will protect you. इन लोगों को सड़क का ज्ञान नहीं है ना, किताब का ज्ञान.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
You'll be all right. Don't worry.
Great. Let's go to Subhash next. Subhash, you can ask your question.
Hi. Hi, Varsha. Hi, Rajiv. Good morning.
हाँ जी, सुभाष जी कैसे हैं?
Sir, एक question है. This is I'm on L1 actually, and मैं कैसा है कि
A है कि B है?
Sir, ये A है, L1A.
ठीक है.
और कैसा है कि I wanted to raise a fund on behalf of my brother जो मुंबई में है, and वो Kickstarter.com है, तो उसमें lot of options are there to raise a fund for food or movie or something like that.
हाँ, मुझे पता है Kickstarter जी.
हाँ, तो कैसा था कि मेरे को अपने ब्रदर के बिहाफ में यहाँ पे फंड रेज करना था वेबसाइट में. तो अब कैसा हो गया कि वेबसाइट में ऑप्शंस दे रखे हैं. वेबसाइट से इसकी enter your social security number, credit card, bank account and other things. तो मैं वो तो मेरे पास सब है and I can do that as well. Only question was कि अगर because L1 तो I think it's only for the work visa, right? So और ऐसा भी नहीं कि dual employment कर सकते हैं या कुछ ऐसा कर सकते हैं. तो my question was कि in case अगर fund raise हो जाता है and money comes to my account, तो ऐसा ना हो कि मैं ट्रैक हो जाऊं and they say that कि how is the fund raised separately when you're allowed to work only on work visa with one organization. So
देखिए, इसमें जो इमिग्रेशन एंगल है उसके ऊपर तो मैं कमेंट कर सकता हूँ, लेकिन whether it is a legitimate use of an implied contract that you enter into with your contributors through Kickstarter, मुझे नहीं पता उनकी डॉक्यूमेंटेशन क्या है. बिकॉज जब आप Kickstarter के थ्रू जाते हैं तो there is a contract being formed between you and your contributors.
Correct. Right.
तो उसकी क्या, how does that impact somebody who's not on a work visa? I do not know the answer to that question. लेकिन जहां तक इमिग्रेशन लॉ का कंसर्न है, जो अनऑथराइज्ड एम्प्लॉयमेंट होती है ना, उसके दो कंपोनेंट होते हैं. And that is my take based upon my judgment. ठीक है, and I'm willing to say this and I'm saying this in public. There are two components. एक तो आपने काम किया, दूसरा आपको उस काम के पैसे मिले.
Correct.
अगर आप काम करते हैं पैसे नहीं मिलते हैं, that's legal.
Right.
And actually the definition is remuneration, whether it is in cash or in kind. ठीक है.
Correct.
निर्मल आनंद की प्राप्ति is not remuneration. अगर आप आनंद के लिए काम कर रहे हैं तो there is no problem. ठीक है.
Okay. Right.
अच्छा, अब आपको कोई पैसे देता है लेकिन आपसे काम नहीं लेता, that's okay too.
Correct.
तो अगर आप फंड रेज कर रहे हैं और कोई काम नहीं कर रहे हैं तो हाउ इज दैट इलीगल? मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूं. Many years ago in the federal courts of New York there was a lawsuit where USCIS tried to deport a young lady who was on a student status. During the student status she volunteered for New York Giants.
Okay.
स्पोर्ट्स वाले हैं ना, पता नहीं मुझे क्या, सॉकर के फुटबॉल खेलते हैं, क्या खेलते हैं, जो भी करते हैं.
अच्छा.
I have no interest in sports other than cricket. तो वो उसने वहां पे वॉलंटियर किया, तो वॉलंटियर करने के 2 महीने के बाद न्यूयॉर्क जायंट्स, वेरी प्लीज्ड विद हर वर्क, गेव हर सीजन्स टिकट्स. They were worth $6,000-7,000.
Wow. Okay.
Government tried to deport her, saying कि तुमने unauthorized employment करा है. And the court said, भाई unauthorized employment कहाँ से हो गया? ये तो gift है. The money was not connected to the number of hours she worked.
Correct.
The money was not bargained for.
Right.
अगर कोई आपको भला आदमी, क्योंकि आपने, अगर आपको किसी का पर्स मिल गया, वो पर्स आपने वापस कर दिया, वो बंदा आपको $500 दे देता, how is that unauthorized employment?
Correct. Correct.
समझे ना? तो अगर काम नहीं करते पैसे मिलते हैं, that's okay, और अगर पैसे मिलते हैं काम नहीं करते हैं, that's okay.
अच्छा, हाँ, logically correct बोल रहे हैं आप. I think right. Thank you so much. I think this helps.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you. Take care.
Ji, you too.
Great. We have Lalit ji on the call as well. Lalit, go ahead. You are next.
Lalit ji.
Lalit, can you ask your question? You are on unmute now.
किसी और से बात कर रहे हैं.
No, wait.
हेलो राजीव जी.
हाँ जी ललित जी, कैसे हैं आप?
हाँ जी, ठीक है. राजीव जी, मेरा क्वेश्चन है H1B से रिलेटेड. इस सिचुएशन में लाइक आई एम ऑन कैन से फरलो. एक्चुअली आई डोंट नो माय एम्प्लॉयर हैज फाइल्ड फॉर कैंसिलेशन और नॉट. सो माय क्वेश्चन.
एक सेकंड रुक जाओ यहीं पे. अगर आपको आपके एम्प्लॉयर ने इन्फॉर्म नहीं किया दैट यू आर फायर्ड, you are not fired. That's the law. They have to inform you categorically, without any ambivalence, without any doubt, कि भाई साहब आपकी जॉब खत्म हो गई. अगर वो आपको ऐसा इन्फॉर्म नहीं करते हैं, you are not fired. पिछले हफ्ते जब हमने किसी से बात करी थी तो मैंने उनसे कहा था कि भाई अगर आप डाउट में है ना तो एक ईमेल भेज दीजिए कि भाई साहब am I fired?
Okay.
Until the date you are fired, you are entitled to your full salary. There is no such thing as furlough for H1Bs. आगे चलिए.
तो फायर करने के लिए what are the things like?
There are 3 things they have to do.
Okay.
First, they have to tell you you're fired.
Verbally also.
Verbally, देखो verbally का मतलब होता है by words. You mean orally or in writing. Orally का मतलब होता है मुंह से कहना. In writing का मतलब होता है लिख के कहना. Verbally is both. So yeah, they have to tell you verbally, whether they say it by their mouths or by their emails or whatever. लेकिन जो smart employers हैं, they'll always do it in writing.
Okay.
Because that way it won't be your word against theirs. कल को ये बात कोर्ट में चली जाती है या wage and hour division पे चली जाती है. Wage and hour division will always believe the employee. Employee कहता है मुझे नहीं बताया तो नहीं बताया. ठीक है? तो इसलिए what happens is they have to inform you verbally, preferably in writing. अच्छा, पहली चीज. दूसरी चीज, they have to send a letter to the USCIS saying we hereby withdraw this H1B or revoke this H1B. Third thing they have to say is कि भाई साहब आपको टिकट चाहिए इंडिया की, तो here is your one-way ticket back to India. If they don't do these 3 things all together, chances are Wage and Hour Division of the Department of Labor will get you your money for the entire time you should be paid.
And the date is considered whichever is the later out of these 3? Because these 3 can happen on different dates.
All 3 of them have to happen. I think if they are doing all of them, I would say this is not something anybody has ever discussed, but I would say whenever the last of the 3 would happen is the date I would say you've been terminated legally.
Yeah, because I will not know when they are going to send the letter to USA. They will not tell me, and I cannot check from UCA also.
Yeah, you can file a Wage and Hour Division complaint if they don't pay you.
Okay. So
उसका एक फायदा ये भी होता है, for your next case you can always show कि देखो जी मैं तो तैयार था, इन लोगों ने मेरी नौकरी छीन ली और ये Wage and Hour Division की complaint shows that I filed a complaint against them. So it's a very good thing to do when the employer is playing games with you.
And Wage and Hour I can reach anytime, or I mean.
I just finished an audit for an employer. मैं Wage and Hour Division के उनके ऑफिसर से बात कर रहा था. She was saying कि हम लोग तो we are manning all our phones. बहुत लोगों की calls बहुत बढ़ गई हैं. So we are actually pulling double, triple duty. We are all answering phone calls. So wage and hour division is very helpful. Employees को बहुत helpful है. Employers के लिए हमें उनके साथ सींग फंसाने पड़ते हैं. लेकिन employees के लिए they're very helpful.
No, my mean to say was कि मैं wage and hour में अभी contact करूँ और I contact them at the worst case when they don't take me back.
That's a tough call to make. On the one hand, if you contact them now, देखो आपको 1 साल का टाइम होता है contact करने के लिए. Okay. They can only recover your salary for the last 1 year, going back from the time you contacted them. और अगर आपकी सैलरी उन्होंने अप्रैल से देनी बंद करी है तो अगले अप्रैल तक you must file a complaint. ये सोच के चलिएगा. Okay. लेकिन आप अप्रैल में करते हैं, मई में, जून में करते हैं, सितंबर में, दिसंबर में, जनवरी में, नेक्स्ट ईयर करते हैं, doesn't matter. As long as it is filed within 1 year.
Okay, understood. So my second question is regarding these unemployment benefits which are being given. Should I avail that or not if it is applicable in state right now?
If the state law allows, by all means, go for it.
No, but in that case, it will be a proof that I am declaring that I am fired.
वो आपके declare करने से क्या होता?
No, I mean, in that case, on the other hand, I will not be able to fight fight my case.
आप कुछ ज़्यादा सोच रहे हैं इसके बारे में. I think the more important thing is, पहली बात तो ये है कि घोड़सवारी करने से पहले घोड़ा अस्तबल में होना चाहिए. We don't even know whether you qualify under the state law for unemployment. पहले तो ये पता करिए. अब जब घोड़ा आ जाएगा तो फिर से वापस आ जाएगा, बात करेंगे.
Okay.
क्योंकि मैं कॉलेज प्रोफेसर नहीं हूँ भाई, मैं तो वकील हूँ ना. I can't sit and think about the legal possibilities in a case until the facts are finalized.
Okay.
तो उस पे तो हम लोग किताबें लिख सकते हैं. There's so much information, right?
Yeah, and my third, yeah.
जी बोलिए.
My third question is in this, because it's a dilemma situation now. I'm not sure. So will it be again wise to file B1 B2 after 60 days?
और कहना तो बहुत कठिन है साहब. बात ये है कि अब जब आप फायर ही नहीं हुए तो B1 B2 अप्लाई करने में कोई हर्ज नहीं है. वैसे कोई हर्ज नहीं है unless they surprise you and they act within 30-40 days. All of a sudden you lost your H1 and now you're on B1 B2, which is unlikely. So there is a balance between filing too early and filing too late. अभी तो अगर मेरी judgment पूछे, my judgment would be sit tight, see how it works out.
Okay. I mean, the only thing is, can I file B1 B2 even if my H1B is still going on? Will there be any?
You can. Lekin the moment the B1 B2 is decided, you no longer have H1.
Okay.
तो इसलिए अब क्योंकि इन लोगों की हमें स्पीड पता नहीं है, ये किस स्पीड से काम कर रहा है.
So B1 B2 should be filed right, in my case, right in 60 days, or I can wait for 90 days or 100 days also.
नहीं, पर बात सुनो ना, 60 डेज जब हमें पता ही नहीं स्टार्ट हुए हैं कि नहीं हुए तो फिर क्या करोगे?
Right.
मेरे हिसाब से तो 60 डेज तब तक स्टार्ट नहीं होते until they do the 3 things we mentioned.
Okay. So would you advise me to file for B1 B2 in from my last paycheck?
इसमें लीगल एडवाइस नहीं है, प्रैक्टिकल एडवाइस है. क्योंकि लीगली तो you can do it. Practically, I would be concerned because if I file B1 B2, government acts too quickly, I've lost my H1B.
Right.
So इसलिए I would probably wait until I know for sure where I stand with my employer.
Okay. So suppose I don't file B1 B2 and H1B get revoked. So I'll be illegal status in that case?
जी. From the date your H1B is revoked, you are out of status and unlawfully present. If you stay unlawfully present for 180 days, you are then barred from coming back to USA for 3 years, but you can get a 212D3 waiver, which will then allow you to come back and वो 3 साल का बनवास आप यहाँ पे बिता सकते हैं instead of doing it in India. So it all works out in the end. कोई इतना बड़ा हुआ भी नहीं है. I mean, we want to avoid that situation if we can, but I don't think you have a clear-cut path to what you should do. तो जब रास्ता धुंधला होता है तो you make the best guesses you can. These are all guesses. I would want to wait a week or 2 weeks, see how the employer is doing. क्या पता कल को अगर वो खुली जाए सब कुछ तो क्या पता चलता है, you know.
Okay. So in that case, if I don't file B1 B2, if I leave before 179 days, still bar will be there?
मैंने बोला ना कि ये तोता वो है जो कि 180 दिन पे काटता है. 179 दिन तक तो ये आपको गाने गा के सुनाता. There's no problem. It's the 180th day that becomes the problem. So yes, if you leave within 180 days from some date, we don't know which date, from some date, then you're okay.
Okay. And the last question is about my medical, like my health insurance, because I don't know, like, because my health insurance was from the salary, so it's not being filed. I mean, so should I check with them?
They have to send you, as far as I know, I'm not an expert in employment or healthcare law. As far as I know, the employers have to send you a COBRA letter saying that हम आपको आपकी medical insurance discontinue कर रहे हैं, अगर आप खुद पे करना चाहते हैं तो ये उसकी information.
Okay.
They have to send you the COBRA letter. So I'm not sure. I don't see any indicia of having been fired. It looks to me like the employer wants to have the best of the two worlds, कि घर भी बिठा दें और पैसे भी ना दें और fire भी ना करें.
Okay. Understood. So the only option for me now is to wait and see.
हाँ, इसमें आपको जो viewpoint है, you'll have to keep the artistic viewpoint rather than the engineering viewpoint. इसमें कुछ, there is no black and white here. There's no mathematics here. There's something you're going to have to wait and watch week by week how it develops.
Okay. Yeah, they also told me to call every week, and I mean, I don't know what is their intention.
Actually, email bhejo. Don't write to them. Just say you had asked me. Have something in writing that would be helpful for you.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Let's quickly go to Vishali now. Vishali, are you here with us on the call? Because I don't see your name.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Vishali, okay, go ahead.
ये विशाली जी, आपने वी कहा तो मुझे डर गया कि मे बी रॉयल वी, ये मतलब महाराजा जयपुर का फोन आता है, कौन है?
Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
बहुत अच्छा. आप कैसे?
So my question is, like, my I-94A is expiring in July. We are on an E2 visa.
जी.
And right now the border and everything is closed, so I don't know how to renew it. Like, though it's like till July I have time to go out.
But आपने कहा E2, ये E2 आपकी अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट है या you are employed?
हमारी खुद की इन्वेस्टमेंट.
तो आप उसका एक्सटेंशन फाइल कर दीजिए, जब तक एक्सटेंशन पेंडिंग है, you are fine.
Okay, no, it's going to be in July. It's going to the deadline is for I-94A. Like the E2 is valid till 2021. So it's just because we can't leave the country, so I'm a little concerned. Like, you know how?
नहीं, आपको कंसर्न होने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. आप क्या पाकिस्तान से हैं?
नहीं, इंडिया से हूँ.
इंडिया से E2? और तो
actually we are Canadians.
We are Canadians, but we are on E2. Yeah.
हाँ, तो आपका तो बड़ा आसान है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. Because as long as you get your E2 extension filed even 3 days or 2 days before your I-94 is expiring, you are fine.
No, my E2 is valid till 2021. It's only the I-94 that is expiring.
You know, the one which we need to get stamped every 2 years at the border.
उसके दो इलाज हैं. Okay. एक तो ये है, I'm not sure exactly what happened. Why do you have an I-94 shorter validity than your visa? Because normally they should have given you an I-94 extensive, co-extensive with your visa, right? जब आप consulate interview के लिए गए थे, तो जब आप वापस आ रहे थे, because E2 is one exception to the general rule that Canadians don't need a visa. Canadians do need to go to the consulate for E2. तो जब आप E2 के लिए गए थे, तो at the airport or at the land border, they should have given you I-94 co-extensive with your E2 visa.
They give us only for 2 years, so we've been going every 2 years actually.
Yeah, every 2 years you got to step out of the country and come back.
ठीक है, तो even that I-94, as long as, when I say visa, I mean the status, which is I-94. So you must file an extension before the I-94 expires.
Okay, got it. And I have another question. What happens is...
One more thing I want to point out. Sometimes the Department of क्या बोलते हैं उनको, CBP, Customs and Border Protection, they can extend your I-94 without stepping outside. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll write it down.
Okay. I just had to remove my shirt. It was just getting so warm in here. Start my video. अच्छा, क्या है कि there are certain places, I know at least one place where I was able to send a client like you who was able to get their visa stamping in Texas rather than going to Mexico.
Okay.
Not visa stamping, I-94 extension. They had to pay like $10. तो उसका नाम लिख लीजिए, उस पोस्ट का नाम है ईगल पास CBP ऑफिस. अगर वहां पे है तो और जगह पे भी होगा. This is not a documented procedure, but they can extend your I-94 without going outside US.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Eagle Pass, you said, right, sir?
हाँ, I sent somebody to Eagle Pass. उनका प्रॉब्लम फंसा हुआ था, तो मैंने कहा उनसे बात करी हमने CBP में. We called them up. They said, yeah, they have to pay $10 fees. They can come here. They don't have to go across the border.
Okay.
We're in Florida, sir.
तो पता करिए आपके आसपास कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा.
Okay.
Okay.
And another question, sir. Because my wife is a dependent E2 and she works for me, but her work permit is expired, and we are in the same business. Like we have a salon, and she's the one who runs it basically. So will there be issues? Because I just put her on payroll of 50.
She can't be working while the work permit has expired. So you have to run it yourself.
Oh, okay. All right. Because we put up for 15 hours. Basically, it's our business. Like we handle together. Like that way.
Yeah, no. Actually, there are so many variations in the law and little complexities. Because in some ways, E2 should not need a work authorization because E2 is entitled to work incidental to status. Like, I don't want to get into all that. All I will say is, do not work until you get your E2 work authorization.
Okay, all right. And the last question, so I want to, because like she's the one who runs the place, how can I change my status when I go for renewal of E2? Like I want the E2 as a primary, she should be, and I should be a dependent.
See, ऐसा है ना कि E2 का मंशा क्या है? What is the bottom line for the E2? E2 की bottom line ये है that I am coming to US say as an E2 holder to manage my investment. I don't have to manage the asset. I have to manage the investment.
Right.
राजा राजा रहेगा, प्रजा प्रजा रहेगी. मेरा काम राजा वाला काम है. समझे ना? So normally when we do E2s, the way we do E2 is we'll create a holding company. फिर वो holding company business को buy करती है. ठीक है? तो holding company का जो stock holder रहता है, majority stock holder मेरा E2 वाला बंदा रहता है. उससे क्या होता है कि you can buy a bunch of businesses and you can even change businesses. That's the more flexible way of doing E2s. तो मुझे नहीं पता कि आपका कैसे किया गया.
Okay.
If there's an intervening entity, your E2 investments become very flexible.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we have employees, that's how we are working, but it's just like she was helping us. But probably, I don't know. But can I change the status, sir, for the renewal on her name as a primary E2 holder?
Oh, status change नहीं होता. It's an application for an E2 for her.
Oh, it's a separate one altogether?
It's a separate application.
Oh,
I don't know if anyone is changing somebody's status from derivative to primary without doing a full application.
So, sir, is it possible for he to still have the primary E2 holder and I have my another business? Like if I start another business, is it possible for me to do that?
You can do an independent E2. Just because you've taken 7 steps around the fire doesn't get you tied into the same investment. आपकी अपनी separate investment हो सकती है.
But we need a work permit before that, right, sir?
See, E2 is another weird visa because E2 says until you have put your investment at risk, we won't give you the E2. But then I can't put my investment at risk because I don't have work authorization.
Okay.
So, the fact of the matter is, as long as you don't start doing business, you can invest the money, you can shake hands, you can buy the business, you can even put the money in escrow rather than buying the business. So there's several things you can do.
All right. Okay.
So do you recommend us to open another LLC or we can do it under the same LLC, saying that we have another business now?
I can't comment about Florida state law. Lekin, as a general principle, never ever do same business under the same LLC. देखिए, for example, when you have real estate companies, when they are making one project, they have a separate LLC. They're making another project, they have a separate, because the company shouldn't be connected. If somebody gets sued, all the companies are in trouble. If they're separate companies, then liabilities. But that's not my field. That's something you have to check with your Florida lawyers.
Okay.
All right, got it.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
We truly
Appreciate it.
appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Let's quickly go to Ankit. Ankit, do you want to ask your question next? Ankit Mehta.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. कैसे हैं आप?
मैं बढ़िया. So मेरा question है, I am right now on my F1 visa and on my first 12-month OPT, and actually like I had got an offer from from a recruiter 2 months back, and मेरी job start नहीं हुई because like वो hold पे थी, and then this situation comes up COVID-19 की. And then like 2 days ago I got to know that like उनका email आया कि वो offer withdraw हो गई है because of the current situation. So अभी मेरा जो OPT है, it is going to end on July 10th. So right now I'll be looking for another job, but the whole situation is going on, and I'm from a mechanical field. So अभी like I don't know कि अगर STEM extension time पे file नहीं हो पाता तो मुझे एंड डेट के बाद कितना टाइम मिलेगा जॉब ढूंढने के लिए या लीगली स्टेटस रखने के लिए?
वही 60-day grace period होता है जी एंड में. That's all you have.
Okay.
And if you don't apply for a STEM OPT extension before that time, जो भी आपका टाइम देते हैं वो उसके अंदर में आप नहीं करते हैं तो फिर then you lose your OPT for that year. You have to go to another program to get the OPT again.
Oh, okay.
So मैं आपको just a practical matter, because we are involved with so many engineers, I can tell you the companies that are hurting in engineering are control systems. तो control system में क्या होता है कि mechanical, mechatronics, electrical, electronics, software engineering सब कुछ चलता है उसके अंदर. तो start looking in for jobs in control systems, especially क्योंकि जितने ये parcel sorting वगैरह जो चलती है, जैसे बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां हैं, इनके सारे conveyors लगे होते हैं. They have this. So control systems are very big right now. Control systems companies are looking for people.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Great. Next we have Biswajeevan. Biswajeevan, you want to ask your question?
Great. Yeah. Hi, Rajiv sir. How are you?
कैसे हैं दादा?
अच्छे. तो मेरा क्वेश्चन 240 डेज रूल के ऊपर है. तो मेरा H1 एक्सपायर, मैं H1B पे काम करता हूँ. मेरा एक्सपायर हो गया था लास्ट ईयर अक्टूबर में I-94, और उससे पहले हम लोगों ने एक्सटेंशन फाइल कर दिया था. तो आफ्टर
1 सेकंड रुकिए. हाँ, पहली बात मैं आपसे कुछ सवाल पूछूंगा. आई काइंड ऑफ नो व्हाट यू आर आस्किंग. आप पहले ये बताइए कि आप H1B पे हैं, आपने कहा?
हाँ, H1B पे. हाँ. अच्छा,
जो आपने एक्सटेंशन फाइल किया था, was it with the same company or a different company?
सब कुछ सेम था. same employer, same client, everything same.
अच्छा. Did you file an extension with change or without change?
Without change. There is no change.
So, then you have 240 days. If you had filed with change, you would have unlimited time.
Okay. तो ये अभी अप्रैल 15 को उन्होंने RFE दे दिया है after 7 months. Before that we requested for expedite, तो हुआ नहीं. मतलब अभी 240 days. तो अभी 240 days का जो रूल है वो जून को हो जाएगा मेरा. तो अभी उसके बाद क्या कर सकते हैं? मतलब उसके बाद
I'm thinking that अगर आपकी if they file another H1B for you, and I'm not sure, I haven't looked into it, क्योंकि हम लोग इस situation में पढ़ते नहीं हैं, because we kind of anticipate this problem. So have your lawyers look at filing another H1B extension with change?
मेरा एम्प्लॉयर्स का ये बोलना है कि अभी हम लोग तो RFE का रिस्पॉन्ड करेंगे, और when 240 days are nearing and we still have not got any response, then we'll raise another service request, and we'll still be authorized to work.
That's definitely the more conservative way to do. I'm saying be a little bit more aggressive. What if you file another case, another extension request, but this time with change?
But वो बिना I-94 तो already expire हो चुका है उस.
Yeah, but you have an extension pending. This is called a bridge petition.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about the law part. Just follow my directions. बात करो अपने employer से, अपने lawyer से. If they are smart, they will understand what I'm saying. That might work out. Okay. Because then you can continue working while that is pending.
ओके तो इस केस में अगर फिर से फाइल करते हैं एक्सटेंशन तो चेंज क्या होगा?
Well, depends. I don't know your case. Change can be a change in job description. It can be addition of location. For example, अगर आप घर से काम कर रहे हैं और घर जो है आपका वो 50 मील से ज्यादा दूर है ऑफिस से, that could be one. There could be change in salary. So there's a million things you can think of. That's where the creativity comes in.
ओके तो लीगली स्टे करने में कोई प्रॉब्लम है नहीं ना उसके
हाँ,
बाद?
स्टे करने में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. As long as your case is pending, you can stay. You just can't work past 240 days.
ओके एंड B1 B2 वो सब अप्लाई करने की जरूरत है क्या आफ्टर 2?
बिल्कुल.
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
Bye bye.
Great. Hardik, you are next.
Sure. Hello, sir. Just gonna be easy. As of right now, I'm on F1, expiring in 2020, August 2020. My OPT expires.
आप कार से फोन कर रहे हैं?
Yeah, I was just driving.
साइड पे पुश कर लिया ना आपने?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
August 2020 is my STEM OPT expires, and I already filed my I-485 on the basis of marriage.
Very good.
And my case is ready to schedule for interview since March 2nd, 2020. So, do I need to leave the country or not? That's it. Simple.
Why would you?
No, because I don't have lawyers. I was just worried.
आपकी जो धर्म पत्नी है वो US citizen है कि immigrant?
US citizen.
आपको 7 खून माफ है. No problem.
Yeah, like I didn't have the lawyer, and I was just worried. Like, should I? Because USA is opening on 6th of June or something.
Actually, I think you might get your even your approval might come through without an interview.
All right, let's wait for that. That's the best case scenario.
You'll be all right. कोई इतना इसमें दिक्कत वाली बात नहीं.
Yeah, like 765 is already processed, and everything is last updated on March 12th. And I just worried, like, should I leave the country or not? Because I don't have lawyers to advise me, and that's it. All right. Okay, thank you. That's all.
देखो जो US सिटीजन का स्पाउस होता है ना, उसकी सिर्फ एक रिक्वायरमेंट होती है. They must have entered USA legally.
Okay.
As long as you entered USA legally, उसके बाद में आप 20 साल भी illegal रह जाओ, but if you get married to a US citizen and don't travel until you get your green card, you will get your green card.
Okay.
आपके केस में ऐसा प्रॉब्लम कुछ है नहीं. अगर होता भी तब भी आपको कोई दिक्कत नहीं.
All right, no worries. Yeah, because everything is straight. Like I got my own like thing. Everything is set up, waiting for just the interview. I don't know how it's gonna go, but just waiting.
कहाँ से आप मंदिर से आए हैं?
नहीं यार मंदिर का सब कुछ बंद है ना. Everything is closed. I'm just here to clean my car in drive-through.
आपने टीका लगा रखा है माथे के ऊपर?
Yeah, BFPS every day, every day.
अच्छा, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत.
Yep. All right. Thank you, sir.
Great. Manasi, do we have you? You want to go next?
Yeah, I'm there. Hello, sir. My question is around L1 visa. So right now I'm on an L1 individual visa that's expiring end of this year.
मानसी जी, एक सेकंड. L1A है कि L1B है?
L1A.
जी.
So and right now the trend in my company is like most of the extensions are getting denied. I don't know what's the problem, but seems to be the trend. So my employer is recommending like you go for a.
एक सेकंड रुको. Did you come on a blanket L1A?
No, I came on an individual.
Chances of your extension are better than blanket L1s.
Okay, yeah, in general, but if I see the trend in my company specifically, whoever is going for L1A individual renewals, they have mostly gotten RFEs and then rejections. 80%, 80 to 90%. So maybe what was done differently, I don't know. So because of that, my employer has been recommending that you go for a new L1 blanket stamping in either Mexico or Canada instead of filing extension because the chances are better. And the results are also like they are getting approvals more than the actual extensions.
एक सेकंड रुको. Depending upon how serious the employer and you are, tell your employer to get a second opinion from a really good lawyer who knows what they are doing. There are plenty of very, very good lawyers in this country. I'm constantly impressed by the knowledge of people. So let them evaluate your company's situation before you start making these plans. Okay? So tell your employer to get a second opinion, and maybe this problem can be resolved. Don't have to worry about it. Okay? So that's one part. But let's go on with your narrative. You want to go for a blanket L1 stamping. Okay? What then?
Yeah, so I initially had a L1A blanket 221G, not really approvable in 2017 in India, in Chennai.
Then they won't approve it. Because if they have a problem that they've found it before, they're going to raise it again.
Oh, okay. So that was my question basically, because after that I got my
somebody really smart has to bring in some fresh eyes to your. See what the reason for the 221G in that case was. See what the pattern of denials is. Compare your case with both the information, then decide what is going on.
Okay, because there's another opinion also that after that anyway your individual got approved, which resets the clock basically. So again, going for a blanket may not impact, and maybe look at a fresh assessment.
I disagree. It does reset the, not reset the clock, but it does give you an L1 for that case. But when you go for a second case, they can raise the temperature.
Okay, so the chances of the denial again are more based on the previous.
I think you have a higher chance of denial based upon the 221G, and we have less control on the consulate than we do on the USCIS. USCIS denies, we can take them to court. Consulate denies, we can just say, oh, sorry,
Okay, got it. So in my case, it would be better to just file for an extension in the individual category
the
than.
only thing that makes sense. In your case, I don't see, because you have the courts to fall back.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Great. Next we have Shri. Shri, do you want to go and ask your question?
Yes. Yes. Good morning, Rajiv ji.
Good morning, Ji.
The question I have is, the F1 visa of mine will be expiring on November 15, 2020. And I'm currently on my OPT extension, and it will be expiring on June 2021. Due to this COVID-19, I have canceled my plan to visit to India. So if I travel to India during November 2020 or later, will there be an immigration issue when I return? For that purpose, is a letter from an employer valid? I work full-time for an employer. So that was my question.
Okay, so I'm going to, not keeping track of the dates, so I'm going to reduce your question to a generic question. The question is, if during my OPT I want to travel and come back, would a letter from the employer saying that I have employment be sufficient? The answer is yes. Also carry some pay stubs with you. You'll be fine.
Would be fine. Okay. And the second is, joining in a day one CPT universities for MBA, or as I did my master's. And while I was doing my MBA, this might be a basic question, I believe, after listening to all these conversations. Can I apply for H1B while I was doing it? While I was doing an online?
Yes. The only downside of any CPT to H1B conversion is you may have to go outside USA for visa stamping, because the government can take the position that aapki CPT is not legal. So as long as you're doing it, it's fine. I don't see why not. But the worst case scenario, you'll have to step outside USA for a visa stamping.
Okay, the employer mentioned this. If we wouldn't get this visa approved, you would be joining in the universities as others do. So he mentioned, I didn't know how those laws and things goes on. So
I think I have written a blog entry on this. If you go to my blog on immigration.com, I wrote about it a couple of years ago when I saw this problem developing. I wrote something so that we could warn people ahead of time. You can go look at it. That information is still the same.
Oh, thank you, Rajuji.
You're
Be
welcome.
safe. Thank you, Question.
You too. Bye-bye.
Perfect. Saurabh, you're next.
हाय हेलो राजीव जी।
कैसे हो आप?
मैं बढ़िया, आप कैसे? मुझे एक क्वेश्चन था कि मैं H1 पे हूँ। I changed job last year and my H1 is valid till June 2022.
अच्छा जी।
So recently what happened, company furloughed almost like half of the employees, like almost close to 200 people. And I'm one of them. So what happened is like for H1B, they cannot do furlough technically. So for all H1B employees, they said like you have to sign the mandatory leave of absence if you want to keep your H1.
Yeah, it's illegal from 7 different angles.
Okay.
It's illegal for the employer, and I think it's illegal for you as well. So have they given you something in writing?
No, they didn't give writing. They did a Skype, and they said like if you guys have to maintain H1, then you have to do a leave of absence. So then most of all the H1B, like almost 14 to 16 people, we signed the leave of absence, then we sent it over. They gave us back like a leave of absence approval, and they're saying this is will be until June 30th, and in June we will evaluate how things are going due to COVID. And then if everything goes back, then you can come back after June 30th.
Okay, so what's your question?
So my question is like the 60 days period, is it like everything is already started, or is it like going to start after June 30th if they lay off us?
I would argue it has not started. I would argue that the layoff has not occurred because the Department of Labor regulations allow employers to accommodate employees' request for personal leave, and employees should not be considered to be out of status. So the answer is I don't believe. I would argue that you are not out of status. 60 days has not.
Okay, but they're not generating any payroll or anything, but they're paying us, they're paying all the healthcare premium costs, but they're not generating pay stubs, so that is fine, right?
No, that's I think this is illegal from 10,000 different angles. But for your benefit, I would say that not much you can do at this point. You can, of course, once this period is over, you can file a complaint in the Wage and Hour Division saying they made us sign these letters.
Okay.
Okay. These employers are extremely stupid. This is not smart at all. None of our employers is doing it. I have said it very clearly. You have the following choices. Let the employees go. Revoke their H1Bs. If you don't want to do that, keep paying their salaries. If you are giving everybody a reduction in wages, you can give an H1B reduction in wages as long as it doesn't go below their prevailing wage.
Okay.
Okay. Those are the 3 choices. No fourth choice. This idea about creating this fiction of employees going on leave is nonsense. In my view, that's fraud. It can happen. We have dentists who are willing to open their offices, but their dental employees refuse to come. I think that's okay. In that case, the employer can say, okay, I'm not going to pay you if you don't come. And that's fine. But where the employer is saying don't come because I can't pay you, that's a problem.
Okay. Yeah, but they said only on a like a Skype, on a Zoom call.
Yeah, but it's look.
Exactly.
If somebody is standing in a room over a dead body with a smoking gun in their hand, with an expression of extreme hatred on their face, chances are he killed the guy.
Yeah.
So if 16 employees are asking for leave at the same time, chances are employer made them do it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. In writing, and let's say if in the meantime, if I find a job and the new employer generally asks for a pay stub, I don't have it.
Tell them, if your new employers, lawyers know what they are doing, they will know exactly what to do with it. Don't worry about it. Get a job, take it.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. Sounds good.
Good luck, Saurabh.
Thank you.
Ji, isme just to add in this, in the same scenario, if it is not 16 employee, if it is 1 employee, so how the employee can prove that?
देखिए, बात ये होती है कि हर चीज डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं की जा सकती. सिविल लॉ के अंदर you only have to prove that what I'm saying is probably true. You don't have to to prove that it's absolutely true, which is criminal law. इसको immigration law में कहते हैं preponderance of the evidence, which is stated like this. Even if the decision maker has some doubt about the truth of what Lalit is saying, it is more likely than not what he's saying is true. So don't worry about that. It's your word against the employer's word. And I am yet to see an wage hour division investigator agreeing with the employer. I have done 150 of these cases, 150 investigations. I've never seen a wage and hour division officer coming and saying, oh yeah, the employee looks like he's lying, the employer is right.
Okay, thank you.
Don't worry about that.
Great. So let's jump to Abhilash's question next. Abhilash, are you there?
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Hi, Rajiv sir.
हाँ जी अभिलाष जी कैसे हैं?
मैं अच्छा, आप कैसे हो?
अरे मजे अमेरिका लगी हुई है साहब।
सही है। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर मेरे को जॉब आया है, मैं तो अभी क्वालिटी इंजीनियर हूँ, तो मेरे को अभी Beckman Coulter में
English if you're more comfortable.
Yeah, sure. All right. Yeah, I'll do that. So like I got a job in Beckton Coulter in Minnesota. So I have to join in the month of May, the first week. And right now I'm on my initial OPT, which is about to expire on July 10th.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to apply for an extension the coming month when I take that offer. So
1 second. You didn't go through the H-1B cycle. You didn't get selected in the quota.
no, yeah, I mean my lottery isn't picked yet. Like I'm still waiting, but hoping for good. If something happened, but even though the chances are very low, but
Okay.
it's okay. Anyway, I'm on my initial OPT right now, so I'm about to apply for my extension. So my question is, because of the situations going on around here, so what if I get laid off in between my process of my extension, and what will happen? Like, and I got another job right away.
See, this is a very difficult question to answer because
Yes.
what you're saying is, I've got my STEM OPT extension pending and I get laid off,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I haven't really looked at this issue. I would argue that if you get another employer and submit a new set of papers to support your application if asked, you should
Yes.
be okay. But I don't know the answer to this question. I have to really look at the law.
Yeah.
Do me a favor.
Sure.
The students' cases are governed by the ICE. So SEVIP is the database where your information is as a student. SEVIP is the organization that manages that database, and SEVIP comes under ICE. So if you go to ICE's frequently asked questions for students,
Yes.
you'll find an answer to one of these questions. Actually, share with me also.
Yeah,
Send me
absolutely.
what it says, help@immigration.com. Just send me that information.
Right.
If you don't find anything, just send me an email anyway. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I'll do that. So like it's not. I'm not hoping that this is going to happen, but this happened to one of my friend in Indiana. So what he did was he talked to his international office in college, because it's all in the hands of DSO.
Right.
So it's all in the hands of DSO that when they can update their information in the service records, right? So what the DSO did was send them like the new employment letter, because they'll update the new employment saying that he got this job during this date, right? Like the previous
I
offer
think
letter.
it should be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like the previous offer letter.
I think they call it a data fix. I think they can do a data fix.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I just want to make sure that you.
Yeah, but let's just do the homework before we make a decision.
Yeah.
Talk to your DSO also, and then update me about what they say.
Right. Okay. Great. Sure. Thank you.
Great. Natasha, do you want to go next?
Yeah.
Ji, ma'am.
So Namaste Rajiv ji.
Namaste ji.
Hope you're doing fine. My question is, if H-1B visa holder remains in US between 1 day and 180 days after expiring of I-94 and H-1B extension denied, what would be the consequences of re-entering US again?
180 days you have a problem, 179 days you have no problem.
Okay, 179 days, no problem. While even after re-entering US, after stamping and everything is done,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
there will be some questions or something like that.
Well, look, anybody can ask any question. किसी का मुंह तो नहीं पकड़ सकते ना आप. But as far as the legal implication of it is concerned, always tell the truth. They ask you a question, were you illegally in the USA for 179 days? Yes, I was. Why? Well, because, I don't know, I like USA. You don't have to give a reason.
Okay. So they can't bar or do
They
anything like
cannot.
that.
Let them try and we'll see them in court.
Okay, and another question is like employer is also telling that they have initiated LCA process to file the concurrent amendment petition for me in order to maintain the legal status in US. But on the other hand, they are asking me to be prepared for stamping whenever the international travel ban is lifted. So I'm not understanding, should I file change of status, that is B2, or I will be good in case the H1B extension, which is now in RFE, does gets denied? Will this new H1B help me to maintain my legal status in US?
Natasha ji, this is a little uncomfortable for me to respond to. Why? Because I really don't know all the facts of your case. What I would recommend is, if you have faith in your lawyers, talk with them and ask them these questions. Dekhiye, clients who work with us, and I can't think of any lawyer who wouldn't do that, they always explain what's going on so that you are kept in the know about what is happening. Everybody we work with is as smart as we are in their field as we are in ours. कोई हमारे साथ लल्लू तो काम नहीं करते. हमारे every employee that we work with, they are pretty smart. So when I explain something, I just have to explain it in a manner that is understandable. अगर मैं jargon फेंक दूं उसके अंदर and I start talking about things that are term of art, of course anybody is going to find it difficult. लेकिन अगर सरल भाषा में समझाया जाए तो हर आदमी समझ सकता. Why shouldn't you call your lawyers and say, भाई क्या चल रहा है मुझे बताइए, समझाइए?
No, my employer didn't entertain that. I did mail them, but my employer said that this is a conflict of interest. So you both will be held, like we don't entertain these kind of things. So
and what you need to do is get yourself a lawyer to review your case. Send them a copy of your a consultation करिए, send them a copy of your RFE, send them a list of your questions, so that you can have a formal consultation that somebody can review for you. क्योंकि ये तो इस तरह से तो कोई आपको बता नहीं सकता.
Okay, but you just told some time back to one person that bridge petition is, if bridge petition is going.
आपका मुझे केस नहीं पता है ना. I don't know what it is. उनका तो मुझे केस पता था. He told me what was going on. Okay, he had an extension, timely filed extension filed, and उनका मेरे ख्याल में RFE वगैरह तो नहीं आया था कभी अभी कुछ. But his case was that his 240 days were expiring. So I said कि आप अगर एक amendment file कर देते तो आपके केस में मुझे पता नहीं क्या चल रहा. You don't have a 240-day problem. You have some different problem.
Okay.
You know, this is where things can get very tricky. देखिए हमारे ऑफिस में until a lawyer has worked with me for at least 5 years, they are not permitted to give even basic advice to clients because immigration law is so complex. So after 5 years,
so in my case,
while well-educated lawyers after 5 years are allowed to open their mouth, and that too under our supervision. So इसलिए I won't say that situation is the same as yours. Please go get yourself a lawyer, get yourself an evaluation done. Ask your questions. ये क्यों कर रहे हैं, कैसे कर रहे हैं, क्या होगा इसका?
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Great. I think we've answered most of the queries that we got, but I do see these phone numbers here and I don't see any names. So if you guys have any questions, you are free to ask them right now. I read 315-4060983. That's one phone number, and there are a couple of other phone numbers as well. And Ashish, you joined in later as well in the call. So if you guys have any questions, please do ask right now.
Raju sir, I have another question. So like I'm on my OPT, right? Like, so this is considered as my visa. Is that right?
No, a visa and practical training are two different things.
Okay.
Visa is the stamp on your passport that,
okay.
that gives you the right to arrive at the border of USA.
Okay.
It doesn't give you the right to enter USA. It just gives you the right to come to the border, whether you come by ship, by plane, or by car.
All right. So, so like my visa, the F1 visa, the stamping on my passport is going to expire on the next year, 2021 May. So like, if I travel in the December this year, so is it gonna be okay? Like go
the
and come back
question
on my
is, if I travel during the currency of my visa and enter within that currency when my visa is still current, can I travel? The answer is yes, as long as you've been maintaining status and you can prove it. No problem.
Right. Okay. Okay.
You can
Great.
enter even one day before the visa expires.
Right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. I think this is it, Rajiv ji. I don't see any more questions coming in or any more hands that are being raised. Yes, Shri, do you have any?
Rajiv, following up with that question, I have gone through this circumstance by one of my friends. When the visa is expired and a student is on OPT, and my situation will be like that shortly, how can I prove as your visa is expired, I cannot get into the plane? I cannot. How can you enter to the country at immigration?
I never said you can travel if your visa has expired.
No, sir. I'm saying that
once your visa has expired, the airline cannot issue you a ticket.
Yes.
You have to go to the consulate to get the visa done again. The question that was asked of me is different. The question was, my visa is still valid, but it's only valid till May. Can I come back in December? Yeah, you can.
Before May, okay. It should be something should be before May.
This is the December of the year before the May. So
okay, 5 months before the May.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
All right.
Rajesh sir, I have one more question. So like, if I have to go to for a stamp, if I have to go for a stamping, you said that I have to go out of the country, right? Like if my H1B is approved next year, let's say.
You have to.
Like picked and approved, and so my visa will be expired, right? So like you said, I have to go out of the country. What if I don't go to India and I go to Canada?
You can.
I can, right? So like, okay, that's my question.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah, it's called TCN, Third Country National Processing.
TCN.
So even though you're not a citizen of Canada or Jamaica or West Indies, you can still go to that consulate, get your visa stamped.
Okay. So I can go there and I can renew my visa. I mean passport or visa.
If they are convinced that you are entitled to it, yes, just like an.
Okay. All right. Sure. Thank you.
Right. Let's just take this last question that I see from Vaishali. Vaishali, you said you have another thing to ask. Vaishali, are you with us?
Good. Our son is also under E2 visa. He's a dependent, and his last semester from university will be also on E2. No, sorry, he will finish with his E2 because he'll be over 21 years of age. So does he need to apply for an F1, or can he finish his last semester being a dependent on us?
He needs to apply for an F1.
Okay.
Okay.
He needs to apply for an F1.
All right. And is it easy to get in from E2 to F1?
अभी ये तो कहना बहुत कठिन है जी इसका.
Okay.
Is it easy or not? It's very difficult to predict. I have never seen this kind of problem. We in between about a year ago we started having some issues. So I was asked to meet with one of the senators by the community here, and I met with the senator. I explained to them, and then the Indian community carried petitions to various members of the Congress. It seems like that may have had some effect, or maybe for whatever reason, USCIS has not been creating problems for children who are aging out of the status with their parents. So I think it should be okay, especially because he's a Canadian citizen.
That's right. And he's doing good in university as well. He's getting good grades and all. It's not...
All of these are good points. He should be okay, I think.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate all your help.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Guiding us.
Thank you, Varsha.
Thank you, Varsha, for everything.
Guys, thank you. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
joining. All right, Rajiv, I think this is it for this week. And to all the members, thank you for joining in. We'll keep you updated on the next session. And if you have any more queries, you are free to join that. And Rajiv ji, thank you once again for all the time.
The internet is down.
All the questions.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Rajiv ji.